So, you want to know how to get a job? Well, you've come to the right place. Clearly. $4 shirt from Kmart. So, here's my advice to you from somebody who hasn't been employed for a very long time. I've been self-employed for years now, and everybody in my social circle, those are the people that I've turned into my... It's a weird mix that I've got now. I don't have friends or employees. I've kind of just got friend-ployees. So, here's my advice to you, coming from that esteemed pedigree. This is what I want you to do the next time you're in a job interview. The first step is to get your inner game right. So, most of the videos that you see on the net are going to be about step one, if you want to do really well and impress somebody, is bring a pencil. If you bring a pencil, it signals to the person that you're prepared. As somebody who does employ people, if someone brings a pencil or not, I really am not going to care. You know why? Because I'm not a robot that has been programmed to speak in English like most of those have been. Every time I watch it, I just think, who writes these? IT people in India? It's gotta be. It's just so formal. It really just sounds like you're just ringing up someone going like, okay, so you want to get your router onto that? Have you tried turning it on and off? I'm out of ideas, good, bad. It's just a really scary IT crowd where instead of 4 people working there, there's 4 million. That's what I imagine those places are when you ring off to those offshore call centers. Yeah, but that's my thoughts. I'm allowed to have them. I'm allowed to express my opinion. I won't be silenced. So, the things that I actually want you to think about is the state that you're walking into the job interview, because something that is never highlighted in these videos is if you're prepared, if you truly deserve the job, even if you don't get it, you've won. And the way that you're going to be prepared is you're going to read in that subject. I don't know what you want to become. Say you want to become a graphic designer. You should be reading an hour a day in that field. And so that means that you're getting out little magazine clippets. Because it's graphic design, you're probably just looking at a bunch of logos going, wow, Hungry Jack's, brown, cool. And what you're going to do with those clippets is you're just going to read them. Whoa, but my job's drawing. Yeah, but you're getting insights from people who are the top of the field that are giving you their gems of wisdom. 20 years worth of wisdom just down in a single paragraph usually. And you have to keep reading those because you never know which paragraph it's going to be. Because I like to think of myself as a treasure hunter, and I think of myself that way because I don't have any friends clearly. But don't you think that's always something that they always say in these? Just instead of thinking about it as being studying, just you can think about yourself as a discoverer. Yeah, but you're not going to really cool islands and having adventures with people that are cannibals and shit, are you? You're just reading. Sobering facts! Oh no, I spat on my own camera. There. So the next thing you need to think about is, now that you're doing that, eventually what's going to start happening when you go to these job interviews is you're going to feel more than prepared. And you're going to emanate that when you're in that room. Because there's all these tricks about you can make yourself more confident. Those work. Those definitely do work about make sure that you walk in with a strong posture. True, you should be doing that stuff. But you should be doing that in all stages of your life anyway. But you can't really fake confidence at a core level. There's always going to be something that's a little bit off. There's something called core confidence as opposed to situational confidence, and it's best to have both. But core confidence is douchebags that walk through life going, I don't need to do anything. Why try harder when I'm already number one? And they're the ones that always get, heaps of puss in life, and everybody just looks at them and goes, hey, he hasn't washed his hair yet. He must be so good that he doesn't need to wash it. There is that. That definitely does exist. You can work on that. But something that is even better than that is to have situational confidence, i.e. be an expert in that subject, so you don't even have to fake it. So you don't have to give that douchebag eminence of, I'm so dumb that I assume that I'm the best in the world. You actually are the best in the world. Because even if you do get that job, what'll happen if you don't? You'll get fired. So all the little tricks about job interviews and when they have job interview coaches, that cannot be replicated. And the other thing that happens when you start becoming an expert in a field is eventually you start realizing the people that are interviewing me actually know less about the subject than I do. Maybe I could start my own business. And that's essentially where you want to go anyway, right? Right? Maybe there's a couple of leeches watching this at the moment going, no, this one's too chocolate. And that's fine, they're doing what nature intended them to do. I call those leeches people who live in North Ryde. But everybody else, even people who live in Ryde, probably want to start their own business at some point. And it's a good habit to get into, because once you are in that professional field, you'll be asked to do a lot of bullshit things that are going to take you away from time that you could be using to start up that business. But that's all side tangent. This is all about the interview. Because in that headspace, when you walk into there, say that you've read 10 books on the subject, you are going to seem more prepared because you are more prepared. Do you get how that works? Is it really that controversial what I'm saying here? How good would it be if this had the largest amount of dislikes of any videos that I've ever had? And that is not an invitation for you to start disliking the video. Oh, you little smart asses. I know that that's what's going to happen as well. Fuck. You are. Why my audience such a bunch of cunts? Anyway, look. Some of you are nice. One of you made a picture of me, and that was lovely. I feel like I'm Saturday Disney now. Every now and then someone's like, I made this for you. It's like, oh, that's a very nice picture, little Janie. And it is a really nice picture. Maybe I'll show it in another episode. Or maybe I won't. Ooh, unpredictable. What's he going to do next? Stay tuned to find out. Yeah, so that's the main thing. The main thing is you actually need to become an expert in the field. So, and you know what else happens? It completely realigns your psychology, because you are not going into that interview with this beggar mentality of please give me a chance to shine. Just one, Jimmy. I can do the cha-cha. Watch me cha-cha now. You're not doing that. You're not doing the little monkey dance to try and impress them. And because you're not impressing them, like I was saying before, when it just goes, he's got shitty hair, so he must be good. Something actually does emanate from you of when you're sitting there and you're kind of, in a mental way, interviewing them. You're sitting there, and instead of just having this really lacking vibe coming off you, God, I'm using that word so much. I watched The Bachelor, guilty. But that vibe is not coming off you anymore, of just being like, please, can I have the job, please? Instead, you're going into the job interview and you're sitting there going, well, okay, what can you do for me as well? Let's see if we can work together. It comes from that. And people want to be in that kind of a relationship. Instead of having people groveling on them, unless they're huge narcissists like myself, most people want to be in a working environment where people are contributing and it's back and forward and they're bouncing ideas off each other. And you can't offer that unless you are very, very well researched on the subject. And so that's the other thing that happens, is once you are in those places, because you're currently researching it, what happens is it takes your mind off it. You're constantly thinking about that subject, making more connections about it. And so when you walk out of it, you start thinking, well, it doesn't really matter if I get this one, because I know that eventually I will get a job in this field, because I know so much about it that I am in the top 20%. There's a saying that says that no matter what the economic conditions are, even if it's the Great Depression, the top 20% will never be out of a job in every field. And that's because they are needed to run it, while the other 80% are just fat that you could trim off. The only way that you can get into the top 20% is by reading for an hour a day on the subject. And so when you are talking to people, it becomes apparent that you actually do know what you're talking about. But it's more than that. It's about the primitive, primal instincts that are coming off you as a result of that. Instead of just sitting there hoping beyond hope that somebody gives you a chance, you have this psychology of, I deserve a chance. Not even I deserve a chance. It even becomes, one day I will get my chance, because you cannot not think like that if you've done the groundwork. That's what I'm talking about when you're going into job interviews. Just go to the job interviews now, but you probably won't get them, let's be honest. You're shit. But eventually you won't be, because you'll keep researching the subject. It's just a matter of allocating time to that. And eventually you will become somebody so desirable, purely by what you emanate, in terms of how much you know about it. And it'll just become obvious, because instead of just sitting there trying to memorize a bunch of lines, and when they just go like, okay, just explain yourself, not using the letter E as to why I shouldn't fire you. I'm a good work guy. Instead of that, shout out Lenny. Instead of doing that, You'll be walking in there and then they'll just be saying that, okay, so really what we're looking for is somebody who knows all about the color spectrum. And then you just say, as I'm using the graphic designer example again, I don't know why, because I assume that 50% of our generation are graphic designers and 30% are tattoo artists. The drivers of the economy. Oh, right, somebody put inked on it, sick. That's a good thing. That's a very creative word to get, in ink, inked. Yeah, so those people, when you are talking to them and they just go, they're like, oh, so we need somebody who's just gone across the colour spectrum so that they can memorise all 256, and then you just go like, hang on, isn't there, I thought there was 317 colours, and then they just go, oh yeah, no, you're right, yeah, 317. It'll just become natural. You'll know exactly what they're talking about, and so the conversation will flow naturally, and when you leave, people will go, he knows that, they know their shit, and that's pretty much it. That's really what they're looking for in the conversation, right? But on top of that, you will emanate a happier, more confident vibe, because confidence breeds happiness. And so all of these things that they're always talking about when they break it down, you need to look happy, you need to look confident. All those things naturally solve themselves if you are competent. Now, give me some more questions and I'll see you next week.